Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. My name is Jess, Pirate Princess Jess. You probably know that if you're here on my YouTube channel, but you might not know Oliver Ono. Oliver is the artist for the recent Starship Godzilla series, which I absolutely loved. I'm pretty sure it's my favorite book of the last, I don't know, 5 years. It's just fantastic. And we're here to talk about that. The full series is out, and the first trade is coming out soon. And there was an announcement for a sequel series called Invasion X. Oliver, do you want to take a second to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thanks so much. I'm Oliver Ono. I'm a illustrator and comic book artist. Most of the time, I work on a lot of Godzilla stuff. I love sci-fi, mecha, basically anything in that general genre. I grew up with I was a big Power Ranger kid, so I've been doing it for about 4 years. So I'm still kind of new and feeling out my I don't know, my segment of how I make comics, but having a great time.
Hell yeah. All right, so the full series is out, the first 6 issues, and it was fantastic. But I know a lot of the times when people do interviews and talk about their books, it's before they come out. Is there anything that you were dying to talk about with this book but couldn't tell people, or any big reveals that you were really excited about that, the first pass of things you couldn't talk about?
You know what's funny is with Starship, it for the first 3 issues is just kind of in its spaceship mode.
Yeah.
It lands horizontally on its belly, and after the I knew it was gonna get to this where after issue 2 of it just being a spaceship, I knew that people were gonna be like, okay, but does it become Mechagodzilla? Is it gonna fight, or what does it do as a spaceship? And so I wanted desperately to be like, guys, we're gonna do big fights. Things are gonna get crazy, like.
And they did.
And they did, and I think the series was better for it, that we allowed it to kind of slow burn into oh, this is what it does, and here's the crazy stuff. And obviously there's a bunch of different kind of revelations that happen throughout the series. So but I think it was good. I think it was good the way that we did it. But yeah, I really wanted to reassure everyone early on that oh no, it's gonna get crazy and big and epic. But yeah.
It does have a very classic space opera feel to it. It's one of those series where you can see the inspirations bleeding through from just such a place of love. Obviously there's a lot of the I don't know. I grew up in the 90s, early 2000s watching Toonami, and I feel like I saw that kind of anime, that same heart and soul in a lot of it. A lot of Cowboy Bebop, a lot of Gundam, maybe some Yu Yu Hakusho influences, but I feel like I might be stretching with that one. Do you want to talk about some of those art inspirations? Am I
I mean, I'm
crazy?
for sure a child of 90s and early 2000s anime in general. Some of my core memories are staying up a little too late and catching some Adult Swim when I was way too young to do it. So yeah, and I still love Yu Yu Hakusho. I haven't intentionally done. I don't know. Again, it all kind of bleeds out. It's not like I'm intentionally trying to do an homage to any particular thing, but I mean, you can't help but draw the things that you love and
Yeah.
live in the worlds that you kind of live in your head, and that just kind of is how it comes out. But yeah, I mean, if any, how it was pitched to me when Jake came to me was yeah, we want to do this cool thing. You're the guy that really likes Cowboy Bebop. Let's do something kind of Cowboy Bebop.
Hell yeah.
How are you not gonna, jump on that?
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
but yeah, Outlaw Star and Redline were also things that I was really thinking about. I love Redline. I love like that whole issue too, where they kind of have and it's funny because I heard people say it was like a filler issue, but for me it was I just want to do some wacky races in space.
Hmm.
Um, So yeah, I don't know. I definitely wear my inspirations on my sleeve, perhaps, but it's also like very true to me. So
Yeah. And it's also very like all of those things are inspirations, but it's also very original and unique. I feel like I haven't seen a lot of books that look like this one. Like I again, I cannot stress enough. Like, please go read Starship Godzilla. Just absolutely gorgeous book. Um, in issue 2, you're talking about that. That is, I think, one of the first times that we see like a full size kaiju in this series. Because issue 1 is the baby kaiju running out around the Mecha Godzilla ship, and then issue 2 we've got that, and obviously we're gonna get just spoilers for issue 2. We've got that sequence with King Ghidorah landing on the platform. One thing that I was just so taken away by with this series was the sense of scale and how massive these monsters felt on the page. But you didn't have a lot to compare the monsters to on page, right? Typically, when we see a giant monster, you go, "Oh, draw that building small, draw those people small." This book has sequences on alien worlds where there's nothing that we've ever seen before, nothing that you can relate to, and the sense of scale isn't lost in that. How did you do that? Do you want to talk about your approach to conveying that? Because it comes across so well.
well, thank you. That's so nice. And I think you're the first person that's ever mentioned that, and that's something that I definitely was thinking about as I was doing it. Like, we really wanted to kind of have a lot of these planets be kind of outposts or, uh, barren planets. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot to be said for just like, and I did this as we got into like the last 2 issues or so. I was really trying to focus on like pushing perspective really hard. So I don't know. Like if you look at like the issue 6 cover, like the feet are like 5 times the size of like the head, to try to really pull it. So I was really trying to do that. I did a lot of something I like from the movies. Some of my favorite movies is that there are shots, Godzilla movies, obviously. Is that there are shots taken as if you are a person standing on the ground looking at it, or as if you're a person who's like on a mountain range, like across a valley looking at it. And I think those are the kind of shots that I was really trying to get to give that feeling that you're there. And it's really weird because a comic like page, and it's something I think everybody that works on Godzilla comics, whether you have a city or whatever to base it off of or not, but when you have a page that's a set amount of size and the page is relatively small, and then you have a panel that's like 2 inches, and you're trying to like give the feeling of hundreds of feet in that space. I don't know. I think it's a lot of placement. It's a lot of knowing where to crop out, like where to crop. Like a lot of the time that the kaiju are on the page when I'm drawing them, I don't allow the entire thing to be seen at the same time. It'll be like here's like a neck of it, but then it's the rest of the body. In that one shot in issue 2 where Ghidorah is like noticing Ayan on the car, like I have the head like really up close, and you can see that you see the size difference between the two of them, but then I think I have like just a little hint of the body, and the body is like tiny because it's way off in the distance compared to where we're looking at it. So yeah, it's just a lot of like really closing my eyes and trying to think about like what would you actually see if you were on the ground looking.
Okay, and it works. I mean, again, you did a really good job with it. It's one of my favorite parts of the entire series is anytime there's a monster on page, just being like, "Holy shit, this looks awesome!" um, which other things with the monsters looking awesome is the designs. And I know this that the Kaisi era has it's a new take, which means new designs on these monsters. Did you get to actually design the kaiju that you were using? I mean, there's a Space Godzilla looks incredible. and there's some original kaiju. Are these ones that were like designed for this era by IDW, or were you just, all right, time to show up to work and redesign Space Godzilla? Like how
Yeah, so the answer is like, yeah, you do get to design all the stuff that you want to do, which is like, I mean, that's like, I don't know, that's my favorite thing. Before I got into doing comics, like when I was in like, art school trying to figure out what I want to do with my life, my big thing is that I wanted to do like character design stuff. Um, and like when I was a kid, that's all I did. I never drew, I should have, but I never drew the stories that I had in my head. I just drew character sheets day in, day out of all the different characters in my stories. So it kind of is like my favorite thing to do. And getting to be like the first person to redesign Space Godzilla in like an official Toho, canon sense was like, I don't know, that's like a dream. That's a dream. Space Godzilla and Kiryu are like two of my favorite like kaiju as a whole ever. So, and I had actually pitched a story that was gonna have the two of them face off just before I got approached to do this. So it was like perfect. We wanted to kind of have something that felt familiar while also, again, kind of like adding a little bit of extra splash, literally of like Kaisei energy when it came to like Space Godzilla. Like originally, I didn't have the crystals as being that like green color, the Kaisei energy green.
Oh.
And actually, Jake was the one that was like, that my editor Jake was the one that was like, oh, maybe we put a little Kaisei green in the crystals.
And it works. It looks good.
Thank you. Yeah. But yeah, I wanted to add that like spike mane. I was really thinking, and this is gonna sound so silly, but I really love the like Super Saiyan 4 transformations.
Yeah, GT. All right.
And so I was like, let's kind of do like a weird mullet on on Space Godzilla. Um,
Oh
I
man.
don't know. I really liked how that one came out. I was really happy to get to design. Well, I think we called him Gamagera, which I actually came up with that name. I don't speak a whole lot of Japanese, but I knew how they named the original kaiju, so I was trying to give it a name that in the way that they like originally Toho would have been naming them. So it's like Toad Drill, and you kind of just smash them together.
Gamagera. Yeah.
But yeah, that was really cool too. I try to make it look like it blends into Toho kind of canon design philosophy while giving it some extra of my whatever.
That makes sense because
Yeah.
I do remember seeing Gamagera and being like, this looks like is there a kaiju that I've missed? And again, I've seen I think all of the Godzilla movie. Actually, I shouldn't say I think. I'm trying to do the thing where I'm like, yeah, probably. No, I've seen all the Godzilla movies. And a lot of the times when you see new kaiju added, they're very unique and they don't really, and they're beautiful, but they don't always fit the aesthetic of Godzilla. And that one fit in so well that I fully paused and I was like, is this from like an obscure Toho movie that I haven't seen? And I found myself Googling it like mid reading the issue and being like, and I don't think, do they say the name Gamagera in the issue? I don't.
I think that Frey says it when she's on top of its back.
Okay.
They say it one time. There's one name drop.
Okay. I was definitely sitting there Googling Starship Godzilla issue 2 kaiju and getting pictures of Mechagodzilla, being like, no, the other one. Who is this? it was very good stuff.
Thank you so much.
Also, just as a complete side note, it's my favorite panel from the whole series, or page from the whole series, is Gamagera coming out of that waterfall mountainside town facing down with Kiryu. I thought that was just such a cool scenario design, such a cool environment. And I know you had talked about wanting to do outposts and things for the environments and have some of them being barren and very different. But like these are unique worlds even for sci-fi. We had like the waterfall planet, we had that crystal planet with the magma worms underneath it. I feel like I don't know, and the what was that mushroom planet that that King
Yeah.
Ghidorah came across?
There's
Was
just
that
one shot of, yeah.
yeah? But it was so cool though, and I guess is that something that was in the script, or were you given alien world as a concept and you just kind of ran with that?
So that one I got to give to Chris. Like Chris came up with very rich worlds that were just like,
Hell yeah!
let's throw and a lot of those concepts were directly just like Chris describing like the world in general, but not necessarily. And sometimes he would put in like a specific diagram. Like his scripts are really cool because he also does art. So
Oh,
sometimes he would draw in like not necessarily like specific shots or anything, but just like this is kind of the structure of how I want this world to work, or like this is kind of like an idea for like what you could think about, whatever. Um, so I got like a good head start on a lot of the specific ideas, but with specific things like I don't know, like the way that the town looked, I was pulling from like those like old samurai movies because I wanted to kind of give it that like we're walking into this dusty, you know, town that you feel uh, like very like Yojimbo feeling. So there was that specific thing, but that was really like the hard thing. It's a beautiful thing to get to design worlds just every single issue, but it was so difficult because it's like none of this exists, and I have to figure out like, okay, he said this is on an entire crystal planet with like a magma ocean underneath it. What does that look like? How does
yeah, you
how
can't just
can you
Google
see the
references.
magma under the crystal? What color does that end up being? And that's why it's all pink. Although I also just really loved the like I don't know. I really love pink and green. Like I have a large enjoyment of that color scheme specifically. In fact, I'm a little Tamagotchi that's pink and green,
Oh hell
right?
yeah!
But so if you look, there's a lot of different pink and green throughout,
Mhm.
and in general, it was me just kind of trying to figure out the shots of like inside that town on the waterfall where the waterfall essentially goes into like infinity. In my mind, I had to work it out. So in my mind, it's like, well, how is there constant if it's a an ocean planet and there's a giant waterfall that the ocean falls into, like how does that make sense for the rest? So in my
Oh
in my
yeah,
like head canon, it's like giant craters and then somewhere else on the planet there are like giant geysers that shoot it out. That's my head canon.
that would work
So
though.
that's why there's different levels of ocean throughout the planet.
And that probably helped with it. But what's funny is I didn't even question it. I was like, oh yeah, big waterfall on the ocean planet. Yeah, when have you ever seen a waterfall in the ocean? That's a really good point.
Yeah, I think when you think about like weird planets like that, I feel like the planets in like Interstellar had a
Mm.
lot of that. Like they actually really thought about it, and I was kind of I don't know. I mean, it's all sci-fi stuff. We're flying around in a giant robot Godzilla, but like I needed to make it all make sense to my brain at least a little bit.
I would love to know how much input you got to have in the story from the artist perspective, because I've never. I mean, I know Chris Gooch was the writer,
Hmm.
uh, and you were doing the art on, but it sounds like this was a pretty collaborative, at least from the environment standpoint.
So, uh, I mean, he definitely like you get a script every single issue and everything. Um, and with him, I think a lot of the best writers leave a little bit of room to like play with things. On issue one, I think is where we modified the story the most to make it like in a collaborative way to make it like look good on the page. A lot of the time, it's like I don't know. One thing that was really difficult in this book was because they're like speaking on their little like watch communicators all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It needed to You needed to be able to show it like there were a lot of shots where I had to like really angle the watch into the frame. And so I don't know, like that in issue 1 when there was like the Scooby-Doo kind of like, let's split up and look for the baby kaiju gang.
Yeah.
Originally it was we wanted to kind of like show a tour of the ship. So we wanted to go to like 4 different rooms to kind of get the idea for like, oh, this is not just like a thing that you get inside of and pilot. This is like an environment for the people that live on it, you know?
Yeah.
But originally it was the whole gang going to each one and looking around in each room. But like that doesn't necessarily work as well on the page, because if you're trying to show the environment, but you have to put like 4 people onto each panel that's like, again, like an inch by like 4 inches, you're not really going to be able to see the environment as well if the focus is on the environment. So like that was one thing where it was my idea to like split them up, and then you only have to put 1 person into each thing, and then it becomes, oh, look at the environment, and then we're talking a little bit about it, you know? So there's stuff like that. I don't know, if you think about it like a movie, like perhaps the director of photography might say, oh, well, I think we should shoot here instead of here or whatever to get this effect. There's a lot of that stuff. The way that the story turns out, the things that actually happen, the character movements that happen, like that's I wouldn't mess with that. Like I want it to be, if Chris is the writer, like I want, obviously it's his vision for like what kind of story he wants to tell.
That makes sense.
I kind of just have like the specific shot placement, and also like something you don't think about is like I kind of have to almost be the actor for each of the different characters.
Oh.
Like I really want it in my mind. I'm like really trying to act out each expression, and with this story there's a lot of like kind of internal conflict and like people trying to weigh out multiple things at once and making a decision that makes the most sense for them and their motivations or the greater good, whatever the case may be. I feel like there's a lot of that. So I really tried to like to put that through in the expressions as well. So you almost have to kind of be an actor within the thing as well.
That's so cool. Yeah, I guess that makes sense because you're in charge of conveying the emotions that go along with those words,
right?
Which is not something that you usually think of, because when you think about the art, you think of the action shots, you think of the character designs, but yeah, emotion goes into that. That's awesome, actually.
And in the same way that you might like act in a play or something, like I don't know, like people can read the lines as like almost a joke or like with a smile on their face that kind of betrays the meaning of it or whatever. And that's not always directly in the script. Sometimes there might be a specific note about it, but other times you're just kind of like, I feel like this character would kind of, you know, say this menacingly instead of seriously. There's, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense. And speaking of characters and character designs and emotions, the Zillians. Yeah, the Zillian character designs are awesome. So I feel like we got 2 different like eras of character design, with the classic Zillian look for the troopers, and then I'm completely blanking on the admiral's name. Admiral Elvira?
The actual character, yes. In Starship is Vira. That's correct. I thought you were talking about the movie character that also has the bob.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't realize they had different names. I thought this was an adaptation of that character. Was this an adaptation of that character? I know typically Toho doesn't let people use movie characters. Actually, I never really thought about that.
No, yeah, completely different character. I just figured that like, well, one, that's like a pretty iconic look, but also I figured that maybe the Zillians just kind of like that haircut. that's like a
Yeah, that
cultural
makes sense.
haircut for them, you know?
Because the designs are pretty classic, whereas a lot of the other stuff that we've seen, we've had redesigned monsters, new designs for characters. Was there any temptation to want to redesign the Zillians too, or were you locked into that classic look?
I originally had, and there's a couple different character sheets of the original character designs that I had for everybody. There's a couple that haven't come out, um,
Ooh,
that I did like earlier, that where everyone looks a little bit different. So maybe eventually those will those will get shown.
yeah, that'd be cool to see.
But originally, Vero was in the just in the old Zillian costume. But I put I think bigger shoulder armor and a cape on her, if I
Mhm.
remember right. But we made the decision that we also wanted to incorporate the Final Wars design in there,
Yeah,
um, with the trench coats. So I don't know. I'm a big fan. One of the things I really like in general, and specifically with Godzilla stuff, is like the hokey '60s designs for things.
yeah,
Um, like I love that kind of retro future, like I'm just in spandex and that's my spacesuit kind of look. And I think those old designs were very like iconographic. They pop, and especially in like 2D for like a comic book, they
hmm
really pop. Um, so I don't know. That's something I wanted to put in for sure. Maybe not with the little pointy shoes, but I kind of some of them have a little bit of a point, but I didn't do the full elf shoe thing. Um,
yes,
but uh, but yeah, I wanted to take those designs, and then I don't know. I'm sure that you probably saw like I added a lot of like more realistic kind of militaria garb, their big belts and the
yeah.
shoulder spikes and stuff. Um, so the whole time I was just trying to kind of like take that old design, but also make that design feel aggressive and less. So it's something that kind of does look silly, but you can also look at it through like, oh, this is like a silly military uniform that they're also like is real danger involved in, you know?
Yeah.
And that's something I think you do with Godzilla a lot, with Godzilla characters a lot. Anytime that you're drawing Godzilla characters, like a lot of the suits. I mean, I did a whole Manila book, like
Yeah.
where I had to make Manila also be like a kaiju that you can take seriously and read for like 100 pages, you know. So I think that's something I've really gotten a taste for. Um,
Okay. Kind of
it's a
modernizing
fun
classic
challenge.
design.
It's a fun challenge to take
Yeah.
a design that was never meant to be seen through like a modern lens and force you to see the coolness in in the old design. I really like that.
It probably
Um,
goes back to some of the initial vision for those designs too, because I'm sure when they're coming up with their character designs and making the costumes, they're like, okay, yeah, here's what we can do. Here's the best that we can make. Probably brings it back full circle a little bit, right?
yeah, I mean, they were working with what they had at the time, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to, and it's a lot easier to draw a costume than make a costume. So
True.
yeah, something like that, something in that realm. In general, like the team as a whole, we wanted to kind of merge the two versions of Zillions that you see. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think especially as we're getting into the next thing.
I feel like that's probably something you can't talk about yet, right? So I'm not gonna push for the follow up as much as I want to. The other thing with character designs is there are so many background characters in this, especially in issue 2 where we're in that city, and so many of them are so unique, right? It's one thing to draw a crowd of humans and you can get a vaguely human shape, but there's some legitimately cool alien designs that we see just in the backgrounds of some of these books. Um, are there any of those that you're like particularly proud of, kind of want to point out to? Because I feel like I couldn't draw 100 background aliens and not fall in love with a few of them. Do you have any
Yeah,
favorites? I guess.
I oh, there's this in issue 1, and I kind of made it one of the just like background races. It doesn't have a name. I don't know. Maybe we'll figure something out for it eventually. But there's like kind of strange like slug people with like teeny tiny little toupees on the top of their head.
I know exactly who you're referring to.
And one of them's eating in the dining in like the first like I don't know maybe page 7 of issue 1 or something like that. There's like one of them eating in that kind of like mess hall that they have on the ship, and I kind of made it just a recurring character throughout. I don't know. I there was also like there was that weird in the gambling hall. There was that weird little like peacock thing that's kind of following behind someone. I realized as I was getting into it, and if I had more time, like I would have not made so many like bipedal humanoid characters, you know. But it's just a lot easier to kind of shorthand a bunch of biped, you know, characters. Yeah, I don't know. It was very fun. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of work.
Yeah.
It was so much like my brain was so fried by the end of all those crowd scenes. Because it's like, you know, I mean, you're trying to fill out a universe, you know?
Yeah, and it makes it feel very alive, which is an impressive thing to see. Because it's like, I don't know, Star Wars has the benefit of, like, all of these things have been out on paper and on screen for years, and you can, you know, I can throw in a Twi'lek here, and I can make this guy look like that one thing from this movie. You were just kind of making stuff.
I was trying to. But again, that's another one of those things where I was really trying to make things that felt also like they kind of belong in like a Toho universe, and not always. Like there were some things that didn't, but a lot of the ones that come forward, I tried to make them have a little bit of that Toho vibe in them.
Yeah.
I also really like the guy that's selling the little jelly sticks that we get in. I guess that's issue 3, who's the vendor that Ayan comes up to, and then he's later like one of the people that got saved and is just like in the background on the ship.
When they bump into the Zillians, right?
Right, on the waterfall planet.
Yeah, okay.
And if I'm remembering right, I might have put him on the final issue when you're looking at the like bounties for everyone. I might have given him a bounty in the background, like. Because I don't know if you saw in that last panel on the last page of issue 6, there's like even the cat has a bounty on its head.
Wait, that's incredible. No, I didn't.
I like Bug has a bounty on his head. The cat has a bounty on its head. Like everybody's got bounties.
Bounties for everyone. That's fantastic, actually. Are there any other Easter eggs like that throughout the books that were just kind of fun nods or little interesting bits that you threw out of there?
Oh, I mean, I did so much throughout. I don't want to give it all away, but like, and what's funny is sometimes I check the wiki just to see what the people are saying, and people picked up on a lot of stuff like very quickly that I was like, oh, wow, okay, you got that, okay, cool. Because I was really trying to throw it into like, I don't know. Again, when you're drawing all these crowds, you can't help but throw that stuff in. The Kylax in issue 2, it wasn't in the script. I was just like, I feel like they would be on that planet doing that.
Yeah,
that sounds
not?
fun. So that's why they're there. To be fair, if you were going to ask anybody that actually has control over the canon, I just want to put a disclaimer. Those might not actually just be Kylax. They might be people that look kind of like them in the same sort of costumes. Yeah. We are not hardcore saying that. But
you want to confirm right now? Everyone at IDW has to play your game.
But it was the Ghidorah issue, so you know. Yeah, I was trying something.
Yeah.
I don't know. People pointed out Lift's hat really quick is the same. I don't know. Did you know this, that Lift's hat that says "more" on it is the same company that is running the camp on Monster Island Summer Camp,
Oh my god.
which is More Inc.
I actually did not catch that. That rules.
Yeah, so the whole time, like whenever Liff is on the page, there's also like a little Easter egg for my last Godzilla book.
Yeah,
Um,
that's super cool.
yeah, I don't know. I really liked, again, throwing little things in. If you really comb over the whole thing, there's I couldn't even remember all of them. There's probably dozens of little nods to different things that I put in.
Yeah, I did not catch the hat. That's go. Now I have to go check the wiki and see what other people are noticing too. I didn't. That's fun, and I guess that kind of falls into my next one is how has the reaction been? Because like I haven't seen anything but positives about this book out there, and now that it's kind of in people's hands and like I don't know. I made a game last year. I was so nervous until people got it, and then once people had it, I was like, okay, cool. Now I can breathe and see what people are saying, and like, how's that feel?
I mean, it feels great. This is the first project that I've been on that kind of has um, like had enough presence to where like in real life whenever I do like events or signings or whatever that people are actually like coming and know who I am and stuff, which is like really bizarre but like
Hell
fun
yeah.
and cool, you know? So I don't know, it's hard to say. I try not to take like most of the time that I see criticism in general, like there's usually like a little hint of it that I'm like, yeah, I see what you're saying. You know, I got it. That's fine. You know, like, but yeah, I mean, for the most part, there's been a lot of people. I was shocked on issue one when it got rated so highly, and honestly, I was shocked to see like you posting about it with such nice words. Like,
Oh,
it's it's a strange thing because it's like when you're doing this, like I live in the middle of nowhere in the Midwest, like the middle, like actually the middle of nowhere. Like I could see like a cornfield if I walked outside.
I grew up in
Um,
Kansas. I get it.
I got you. So it's always a weird feeling because it's like my day to day is like very chill. Like
Mhm.
no, I don't know anybody. Like I don't talk to people that do this on a normal basis. So it's like uh, it's very low key, and I don't think about the fact that like other people like are reading anything that I do. You know, so I don't know. It's very shocking when I see people that know like anything that I've done. To be completely honest, um,
Yeah, so fair.
yeah. So even if it's negative, it's like, well, you know, I saw it. I guess that's cool. Um, but yeah, I think, and you said it as well as like the kind of like connections to Toonami and all of that stuff. Like I've said it before in other interviews, but it's like that was really like something that I verbally said was like, I kind of want it to feel like you're like staying up a little too late in like 2007 and like watching that block of Toonami and then watching a little bit of Adult Swim, like and I feel like the fact that so many people have said that that's what it feels like unprompted to me is like, well, okay, I'm doing it. I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah,
I
it's
guess
like you
I guess it
nailed it.
worked. Yeah. So yeah, I don't have anything that you know.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't have anything but happiness in the fact that people are just willing to talk about it.
hell yeah. And I mean, honestly, like again, it really does. Like it for anyone out there who hasn't read it, if you, especially if you have nostalgia for that, like I don't know, 2006, 2007 era. I got the same feeling reading this that I did the first time I stayed up too late and turned and found out what Ghost in the Shell was with Standalone Complex on Toonami. Just a very similar vibe of like that era of anime. And if you like that era of anime or are nostalgic for that era of anime, you're gonna love this because it's right there.
Yeah, there was a lot of lo-fi beats to sleep slash study too going on as I'm drawing this, which I feel like is like where that the entire like population of people that were nostalgic for for that like migrated
Mm-hmm.
to on the internet for some reason. But
It does seem to be the natural progression, and
yeah,
that's a really funny segue because after talking with Nick last week, nobody asked Nick what he was listening to while he was writing Sonic X Godzilla. So that's one I've kind of added now to my regular repertoire of questions. Is what were you listening to while you're doing the art for this? Do you have you said you listen to a lot of lo-fi beats? Is there anything else that
Lo-fi
you
beats
pull
for sure.
inspiration from?
That's kind of the background of a lot of my stuff. I love jazz. Like I actively like listen to a lot of jazz. So there's a lot of like Chet Baker going on. There's a lot of John Coltrane.
God, no wonder this feels so much like Cowboy Bebop. It's
Yeah,
you got the same.
but it's specifically, it's not, that all the jazz that I like is like very like cool jazz. So it's all that like smoky room, it's not necessarily like oh, what's the big song from Bebop? The opening title song.
Tank seatbelts.
Tank.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot more chill, a lot more kind of introspective and whatever, so there was a lot of that. But then also, like, I don't know, I really like Deftones, so there was some Deftones going on. I have a whole cyberpunk playlist on my phone that I play that has like very cyberpunky sounding music, and Lauren is one of my favorites of it. Flying Lotus. I don't know.
I know Flying Lotus. Okay.
There you
now
go.
we're back. Yeah, hell yeah. And then this is sort of my last go-to question, and this was my favorite question that anyone ever asked me, which is why I kind of have now turned this around to anyone else, is there anything that you didn't get asked that you wish somebody would have asked you about the project? And if there is nothing, that's fine. We can cut this one. But I don't know. I found when I was asked that I was like, yes, actually I have had an answer queued and no one has asked me this. That's where Nick's "How come no one's asked me about my music" came from, which was a fantastic one.
That is Nick was in a band actually.
Yeah, he mentioned that. He mentioned one of the songs being everything that he wanted in his music, and I was like, oh, I want to hear more about that.
And it's so funny because he visited over here one time, because we were going to CXC, which is this like kind of indie comics festival in Columbus, Ohio. It's very cool. It's like one of the coolest festivals, and they have a Billy Ireland cartoon library, which is like the biggest.
Ooh.
It's the single largest collection of comic books, I think, at least in America, but maybe in the world. I don't know. But they have like original comic art there. It's crazy. So he came out to go with me to that, and I didn't know anything about his music stuff, but I was just puttering around on that guitar, and he was like, "Oh, I might give it a try." And I'm like, "Oh, Nick, I didn't know you play music." And he's like, "Not really, but here we go." And then he's like, "Really good." And I'm like, "Okay, now I'm the asshole who was like," very funny, but
that I can absolutely see him being like, "No, not really."
Oh yeah, I've never met a more mysterious, humble man than Nick Marino.
Accurate.
But in terms of what I wish people would have asked me, you've done a really good job. The character design stuff of like asking about like how like the new kaiju were designed and all that. That's something that I feel like I haven't really been asked about, and especially because I feel like that Space Godzilla design, it's a departure. Like it's definitely like I knew that it was going to be controversial to some, but I thought that some people would be like, "Oh no, but that's really cool,"
Yeah, it rules. I assume it's been mostly positive on that Space Godzilla design because it's
in general everything's been mostly positive. But I feel like that's the thing that I heard most people be like, "Oh, that's different. Oh, wow," because like the Ghidorah was mostly non-controversial. It was like, and I really loved that Ghidorah. But it was, it's all gold. It's bipedal. It's got the same wing shape. Like most everything was exactly the same. It was the details. But like once you start making the crystals green and throwing a big bushy mane like you're gonna get some, and then the head crest. I changed the head crest. I really like Gundam, so like I was kind of looking at a lot of like really interesting
Oh,
Gundam
that makes
V fins.
sense.
So yeah, I don't know, but no, you've done a great job.
Sick. All right, I'll take that. You complimented me. I'm actually gonna leave that in. No, I'm gonna get. I do have one more one. Have you hidden yourself into a page in this comic book? Because I spoke with somebody, and this one was off the record, so I can't say who, that was saying that their proudest moment was working on a Godzilla thing because they got to hide themselves in a Godzilla book and be in the series. Did you stick yourself in any of those crowd shots?
Okay, so I have done that to almost all my other books. Like every single issue that I've ever done. Well, no, the MonsterVerse one that takes place in Inner Earth, because everything's a monster, I couldn't have hidden anything in there. But no, I don't think I actually put straight up myself. If I did, it is a possibility I did, but I don't remember doing it on this book specifically. I will say one thing that I've never told anybody is that like Lif specifically is kind of my like self-insert character.
Oh
Not
shit!
that I, it's not my character, but it's just like who I identify with the most. Like when I'm doing the grumpy man, like facial expressions, like a lot of the time I'm just channeling like how I think of my own responses to things.
Incredible.
Which is not I don't know, which is maybe a little self-loathing because he's not the most likable person. But
He shows up when it counts, though.
Yeah. Almost all the other books I've ever done have had a version of me somewhere in a shot somewhere. Yes.
Okay. So what we're saying is pre-order Invasion X to look for an insert of Oliver Ono, or whatever
Perhaps.
book you're working on next. I guess technically they've not announced the creative lineup for Invasion X, so I shouldn't be making promises that I don't know.
Oh no, I'm on it. Oh, I
is confirmed?
think it's safe to. I think it's safe to say, yeah, I'm still the artist on it. So
Okay.
it's very fun. I have a page of it sitting right beside me here that I'm working on.
Oh, so cool. Well, all right, we're just under an hour, and we breezed through my questions. So, is there anything else that you want to say before we tell people to pre-order the graphic novel?
Yeah. Well, I guess the graphic novel's out in almost exactly a month from today. It's June 23rd, I think, is when it releases. So
yes,
that's really
what I have in my
exciting.
notes.
That's really exciting. And then yeah, I don't know when Invasion X is when issue 1 of Invasion X is coming out, but I think towards the end of the year, fall of this year sometime. So get excited for that. I'm very excited. I've really tried to up my game on it. So yeah, the environments continue to. I'm a lot happier with the environments that I'm drawing than how I was doing it before. So hopefully that makes it to the reception as well.
All right. I'm sure it will. And who knows, maybe we'll get a chance to talk before Invasion X comes out, and we can talk about it during the pre-order season for that. We'll see if you're still energized or if you're exhausted from getting through the series.
Oh, I'm exhausted already, believe me.
That's fair. We'll just going to be completely dead behind the eyes next time I see you then.
It's just me in the chair.
I'm interviewing the corpse of Oliver Ono today.
I'll have my cat do the speaking for me,
Oh, perfect. I would interview somebody's cat. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. In that case, thank you so much. And again, pre-order the graphic novel, buy the graphic novel. Graphic novels do show up in comic book stores, but they also show up in bookstores and other places like that. So, get it far and wide. Sales help series continue, and I very selfishly want to see this keep going. I want to see as much Starship Godzilla out there as I can get. And I want to give a quick shout out to my Patreons. I did forget to shout you all out last time. My content is 100% free, but if you subscribe to my Patreon, all of that goes to Trans Lifeline, and if I don't forget to shout you out, your names show up on screen probably sometime around now-ish. Somewhere. Can't do too many pointing things. It's going to make editing me later want to move them around, and then I'll regret this bit. And Oliver, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Jess. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to meet you and everything. So,
Bye, everybody.